Hey everybody, this is just my follow-up to the Dallas versus Green Bay matchup that took place yesterday. I had to get on here and talk about it. There's a lot of things at play here, a lot of factors, of course, with Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, and all that good stuff. I just wanted to provide a little insight on some of the stuff I saw in the game, and of course, my opinion of this whole QB thing. So, first of all, I'd like to say this was a matchup. A lot of people thought Green Bay Packers rush defense was going to give Dallas trouble. Green Bay came number one ranked rushing defense statistically, and that should have been a cue there. Statistics don't always tell you the whole point. You got to analyze the data a little bit and then see if it matches up appropriately. And they hadn't played a lot of teams that run the ball particularly well. And although their numbers were great, those teams still haven't run the ball that well. And so that had to be taken into account too. And it showed in the game. But one of the first two things I like to talk about is how Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott did, or I should talk about how they received so much credit even when we should be talking about other things. So setting aside Dak and Ezekiel Elliott right now, people are not talking about one, this Cowboys defense and how great that secondary is playing, even without a pass rush that is consistently getting to the quarterback. That's amazing. These receivers are not running through our defense, and I love that. This Cowboys defense has been playing great. Also, this offensive line, which does get credit, but it seems like people are making a more big deal about Dak and Zeke than they are about how great this offensive line is. This offensive line makes them look fantastic. Uh, and then no one wants to give him credit, but Jason Garrett, I love Jason Garrett. He's not a puppet, as Stephen A. Smith likes to so commonly assert on First Take. He's not a bland guy. Jason Garrett has done a great job coaching. May not agree with everything. You may not agree with everything he does, but I really like him as a coach on the field. And by me saying you may not agree with everything he does, I meant some of the decisions he makes on the field. But I really like what he's done. He's transferred the culture of this team. He's turned them into a tough team, a team that keeps fighting, and he's brought in the right people alongside him. Frank Pollock on the old line, Rod Marinelli on the defensive line. It's been great. And this draft evaluation team, all the people they're picking up, the coaching staff and Jason Garrett in particular are not getting enough credit for what they are doing with this team, and it's really, really disheartening in a way because, like I said, the casual football fans, already noticing is Dak and Zeke, Dak and Zeke, Dak and Zeke. It takes more than a quarterback and a running back to win a football game. You need a team to win a football game. With that being said, I'm going to get into Dak and Zeke now. Dak was like 17 to 26 for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns through his first interception, which I'll get into. And Zeke had over 150 yards rushing. Great days by them. Great days. I'll give them their credit. Let me get more into Dak's game, though. So what I noticed once again is that he completes the short mid-range throws very, very well. Issues come up when he throws the ball deep sometimes. And he, as a rookie, has made a few rookie mistakes. But we'll get into that. So a lot of people like to say, hand the keys over to Dak. And first of all, I'll just say this. I'm glad that we're in this situation. We probably honestly have the best quarterback situation in the NFL when Romo is healthy and back, because we'll have both Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, which is great. I'm not complaining about that at all. I don't see a quarterback controversy. I just see two great quarterbacks. One thing I will say is Dak inexperience showed up in this game, whereas I think Romo's experience would have helped him out. So it was a play in the game where Dak dropped the ball after he rolled out to the right, and Green Bay recovered. He fumbled the ball, and like he was trying to go down the field. Now, on that same play, I believe he missed Bryce Butler coming inside deep, having an inside route wide open, and he missed him because he took off too fast and didn't scan that side of the field well enough. Whereas I think Tony Romo, as we've seen over the years, read through his progressions and get the ball to where it needs to be. And I think Tony Romo's experience would have came in hand there. So Dak have to work on that. And that's not the only thing. I'm going to get into a few more. I noticed also later on in the game with Dak is that he had Bryce Butler again later on. I believe it was in the third quarter, somewhere around the middle, about the 7 minute mark. There's a slant route near the end zone, about 5 yards out, and he threw the ball and it went up and behind Bryce Butler. And that's basically that was a timing issue. and he and Bryce Butler has to work that out. But I believe Romo had it been there, his experience knowing how to throw that pass, it would have been right on the money for a touchdown, and that put us up. I believe that was the score that put us up 20-6. We would have went up 24-6. I'm not saying it would change the outcome of the game or anything, but those are just things that Dak does have to work on. Um, Another thing that I noticed is Dak has some misfires. I saw a play where the ball went into the ground. Saw another play where his interception play, actually, he rolled out to the right and tried to throw across his body. It's like, don't do that. You learn that as a veteran. You learn that as you play with the years. You don't roll to the right and then try to throw back across the field to your left. And that play led to the ball flying low and to the right, and Morgan Burnett was able to get the interception off of Dak because of that. Those are all things Dak has to work through and has to get better at as we continue to progress through this season. Uh, and I believe Romo's experience would not have made those same, now basically would have had those same issues that come up. They wouldn't have. And so he just has to work through those things. Romo will help him out, like walk him through it. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad it hasn't cost us any games, which is great. With that being said, now that I talked about some of his weaknesses, I also like to talk about some of the things that I was impressed with. So he did throw a deep ball. I believe it was the only one of the entire game. And he hit it. Well, I should say he threw it to where it needed to be. Bryce Butler just dropped it. And I was very, very impressed by that throw because up until this point, he hadn't took a lot of shots down the field and he hasn't hit a lot of them at all. And he really showed on that play, like, he does have the ability to hit those throws. Also, his accuracy came through on the touchdown. He threw to Cole Beasley on a little 5-yard out route. Beautifully thrown pass. He threw a great pass to Terrence Williams early in the game. He's doing a great job of progressing. I'm seeing him get better week by week, which is what you will expect a young quarterback to do. And I'm saying all this to say, I like Dak, and I think we all should. Don't hype him up too much yet, though, because he's still growing. And to say that he's better than Tony Romo, I still think you got a lot of people are. You're very quick and you're caught up in a moment, and you got to really take this thing play by play, game by game, and look at where we're headed. With that being said, I do like the direction of this team, and I like what Dak is doing. With Zeke, it's funny because people are hyping up. Yes, he has led the league in rushing yards and all of that, but it just he still has not impressed me yet as a fourth round draft pick. And maybe because I'm seeing fourth round draft pick and I'm expecting him to just be blazing, knocking people over, and making everything look better, which is not fair to him because he is playing behind a great offensive line, which opens up a lot of good holes for him. And that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad we have a runner who hits the hole consistently and tough. What I like about Ezekiel Elliott, he does this thing really well. He'll hit it and he'll hit it. Like he won't slow down. He'll run. He'll show off his athleticism. He'll run around the end and he'll make some tackles, break some tackles. I'm just not seeing the wow factor that I want to see from a fourth overall pick running back. We'll see as the season continues to progress. Because, like I said, he's been productive, which is what you want. That is good because production opens up other aspects of the game. So I'm not saying to say I'm dissatisfied with Zeke. I'm just saying that I want to see more wow, but I am happy with what we are getting. He is productive. Uh, and to be honest, like one thing to me is that he doesn't seem as fast as his 40 time would suggest. Uh, it's funny. It also seems like he's slighter in his frame than he was at Ohio State. I don't know. It could just be the perspective and how the camera shows and all that, but I just thought that was interesting. Uh, but I am happy with what Dak and Zeke are doing within this offense. It's good to see. With all that being said, uh, oh man, I feel like I just want to talk about much more. But I will say one thing about the defense before I interview because there's a lot to talk about here. They didn't pressure Aaron Rodgers at all, pretty much. Aaron Rodgers had all day to throw. Yeah, his receivers didn't get anywhere. And I don't know if there's more of an indictment on the Packers receivers or just how good the secondary was. But Morris Claiborne and Brandon Carr and Anthony Brown, the rookie, they have played great the whole game. I mean, they were right there with the receivers. Nobody was getting torched, which is great to see. They were playing sound, disciplined football, and that's what I like to see from a team. I saw Barry Church get dinged up a little bit, and Morris Claiborne got concussion, so that was like, oh, we're already a little lacking depth a little bit. So hoping that they recover quickly and be back next week. But other than that, this defense, um, they do bend and not break defense when they're preventing big plays, but they have made plays already in the season, and they've already had more turnovers this year than they had all of last year, which is fantastic. So what I'm seeing out of this Dallas Cowboys team is they're getting back to that formula of 2014, but the defense is better than 2014. And that is a key to how this season will unfold. Not saying or not ready to claim that we're going to make the Super Bowl or anything, but I can see this season turning out better than the 2014 season. As long as Dak continues to develop, the ground game remains productive, and the defense stays healthy and continues to play as they have at the beginning of this season. So all in all, I guess pretty much on everything I said in this video is that Ezekiel Elliott has been productive, which has opened up the game for Dak, and he hasn't wowed me, but he's been productive, which is good. Dak Prescott has been playing great. He has to clean up some of those rookie mistakes and experience issues that he's experiencing. But other than that, he's throwing the ball with accuracy, and he has taken more deep shots down the field, which is helpful. Good, I like that. And the defense has been playing great, and nobody's not getting enough. Nobody's talking about it enough. And please, 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 somebody give Jason Garrett some credit for what he's doing. A lot of people like to look at the 8-8 season, but if you realize those teams were worse than their 8-8 record. Tony Romo and Jason Garrett did all they could to bring that team up to 8-8. And I would say they did a great job getting us in position to be in the playoffs. I don't think you realize how tough that is to put your team in a position to even compete to get into the playoffs when your team is actually worse than an average team. Those Cowboys teams weren't average based on the defense and based on the personnel of the team. They were worse than average, but they somehow were able to get themselves in a position to possibly get in the playoffs. And so Jason Garrett's not getting enough credit for what he's done transforming this team. That's all for today. Hoping I can talk more about the Dallas Cowboys in the future, see a few more games. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you all think. If you want to kind of see what I think about as I watch through some games every once in a while, I kind of do like some analysis of some thoughts on plays during the game. And so I'll leave my Twitter handle in the comments. And on a Sunday or on a Saturday when the important game is on, you might see me making some tweets about some stuff. So thanks for listening.